Hi everyone, I just wanted to make a video today just about something as a hairstylist of things that I've been kind of getting asked a lot lately because it has been a time. It's been about a month now of being in quarantine, and I feel like everyone's getting antsy and starting to freak out about their hair. So coming from a hairstylist who also does need a haircut, I totally understand. I have a few things to share with you, just some tips and tricks that I can kind of give you if you do decide to cut your own hair. Also, just some things to think about before going through with it. So I'm going to go ahead and get into it. I have kind of a lot to cover. Okay, so for the kind of putting things in perspective, let's think about this before you go through with cutting your own hair portion of the video. I have some pretty specific questions, but I hope that it gives you something to think about before you go through with cutting your hair, and I hope that watching this video can help some of you either decide to not cut your hair, or if you do decide to cut your hair, at least you will have some tools in your tool belt to work with. So my first question is, do you really need a haircut? So I say this as someone who knows how to cut hair and does it professionally that also needs a haircut. So I probably should have had a haircut mid-February. I think the last time I got my haircut was like a real haircut fully was November. I have had my bangs trimmed, but I haven't had the length or the layers or anything trimmed. So I need a haircut, and I'm realizing that, okay, well, I didn't have a chance to get it done before all of this because I was busy working, as most of us were. And now here we are a month into it. Man, I could use a haircut. But the way I'm thinking about it is, okay, well, if you can wait the almost 6 months that it's been since I've had a haircut, I can probably wait another month or however long this is going to be. Also, no one's going to see me, so that's a plus. But I know that some of you do have to get on Zoom calls for work and you feel not like yourself, so I totally understand that. Second question is the haircut that you're going to give yourself going to be better than the one that you have that's a bit grown out? So while the layers might be a little grown out, the face framing pieces might be a little long, might not be giving you the volume and movement that you want right now, is the haircut that you're going to give yourself going to like add value and make you feel better? Chances are probably not. Just because, you know, there's a lot to it, and it's very, very easy to turn oh, I'm just gonna trim the ends into oh my god, I've chopped off all my hair and I don't know what to do, and then potentially feeling even worse than you did when you started. So that's something that I think is really important to think about. Also, what are you trying to achieve with your haircut? Are you trying to give yourself to reinvent yourself? Are you gonna give yourself a whole new look? Are you just going for a mini baby trim? Is there one piece of hair that's bothering you? Are you someone that has short hair and oh my gosh, it's on my ears and the back of my neck and it's driving me insane? Do you have bangs that need to be trimmed? What is your goal? This is kind of like a consultation I might do with my own client, but kind of doing it with yourself. So what are you going for? So I guess this is another question. Like, what is your motivation? Why do you want to cut your hair? In quarantine, are we just bored? Are we focusing on the ends of our hair because we don't have a lot else to do? You know, it's kind of like, are we going to eat the chips because we're hungry, or are we just snacking because we don't have anything else to do and it's there? Because I know I have been. Who else is with me? But yeah, do we really need a haircut, or are we just bored? Are we feeling like, oh, I need a change because we haven't seen a lot of change in the last month? We've all been stuck inside, not really knowing what to do with ourselves. So if you're just bored, wait until you can come see me and let me give you a whole new look. Because my biggest piece of advice that I will probably say in a million different ways in this video is, if you are going to cut your hair, we are trimming a teeny baby trim. We are trimming, not reshaping. If you are cutting your hair with the intention of giving yourself a whole new look, put the scissors down and walk away. This is not the time, and it will not turn out, unfortunately, probably how you want. So if you're going for a totally different look, let me do it, or your hairstylist, or someone that you know that does hair. Also, another question that is going to turn into a whole new video, or a whole nother video, is could you just solve your problem by styling your hair differently? I know, as someone who has grown out my bangs and then cut them and grown them out and cut them, I feel like I've been constantly in a state of, I'm growing my bangs out, what do I do? Or, oh no, I need a haircut, I don't have the time. Let's figure out another way to style this so it looks better. Or you can kind of makeshift, you know? There's a lot of ways that styling can get you closer to your goal than a haircut might right now. Okay, so another question I have for you is, if you are someone that has very short hair, so maybe you would come into the salon for a barber haircut or a short haircut, could you maybe just do a cleanup instead? I know that the first places that short hair start to bother you are around the tops of your ears, the back of your neck, and maybe it's falling in your face. So those are kind of the areas that we want to address first, which I will give some tips for later on in this video. But could you maybe just do a cleanup? Because that really might solve some of the problems and give you a little bit more time before you actually have to try and do a full haircut. So people with short hair, you might be able to get a little bit of extra time with just a cleanup that you can give yourself or your partner or your friend or your mom or your son, anything like that. So people with long hair, maybe you could just do a dusting. So a dusting is what I usually do on clients that aren't quite ready for a haircut, but I'm going to see them in a few weeks, which hopefully that's kind of what's going to happen right now, is that it'll be a few weeks, but who knows? That's the part that's, I know, so nerve-wracking. But this is what I do to kind of help get people by. So when your hair's dry, you will just go in and just take off a tiny bit, like 1/4 of an inch or so. Or if you have long hair, can you just trim the face frame, which is the shorter layers around your face? Could you maybe just do that, and that would make you feel like you're bringing yourself back to life a little bit, but you're not giving yourself a full haircut, you know? Okay, so let's talk tools. So if you've kind of gone through all my questions and you've decided, no, Olivia, I need to do something. Oh, I forgot to mention, if you have bangs too, that might be a situation where you actually would want to cut your hair. You might be able to just style them until you can get into the salon. But if you decide, no, I need to trim my bangs. Okay, so let's talk tools. So Actually, I don't have any of my hair cutting stuff with me right now, so I can't really show you, but I can explain it to you. All of my stuff is at the salon. It was locked in there before before all this happened, so, we're here. We're here, we're safe, that's all that matters. So, you'll need a comb, preferably if you can find one that has finer teeth on one side and a little bit wider teeth on the other side. If it's all fine teeth, that's fine. If it's all wide tooth, you can make it work, but it's really not gonna give you what you need. But a comb, if you, most of the time, even if you have short hair, well, you might need a clip. So if you have I do have one, but it's fine. Some sort of clip, could be a barrette, a bobby pin, anything like that. Scissors. So you might have scissors that are those teeny tiny ones that you trim your eyebrows with. You might have kitchen scissors that are huge. Like, you might have craft scissors, which are okay. The biggest thing is you want to make sure that it's sharp enough to cut it. So don't be using some super old kitchen scissors that are like, that's not going to do anything. That's probably going to hurt you more than it is help you. So try and find some sort of scissors you can use. I think you can even order hair cutting shears probably that aren't that expensive. I know that like Joelle makes some. I'll try and find, if you want some hair cutting scissors, if you want to buy some that are cheapish, just DM me and I'll find out a good option and I'll send it to you. So yeah, clip, comb, scissors. We're not going to be using any razors or anything like that. So, scissors. So, we're going to go for the don'ts first. So, if your hair is collarbone length to chin length, and you're thinking about giving yourself a haircut, just put the scissors down, walk away. Again, that is not a length that is very easy to cut, and that would be a haircut that would turn out very easily much worse than you started. So if your hair is in that range, I would just recommend styling it differently, because it's really, cutting your own hair in that situation is really not going to help. Another don't is you do not want to just grab your hair and chop it off and have like a super blunt line. There's a lot of different techniques that go into hair cutting. So, but especially if you're cutting your hair yourself, you want to be on the side of caution. So giving a blunt, heavy line kind of leaves a lot more room for error. So let's see, I have my notes here. Don't always try and do it yourself. If you have someone that can help you, like your roommate, your mom, your sister, your partner, your brother, maybe, your dad, anybody that has arms and hands that are not attached to you. Don't try and cut the back of your hair yourself. That can be where the problems come out, or partially. Okay, so some do's. Like I was saying, don't try and do it yourself always. You can, but it's better to get someone to help you, because they can see the back of your head. It'll be easier. Cutting a straight line is not always easy. Even hairstylists and apprentices, when they're learning, like, it takes a while to actually be able to cut like a perfectly straight line. So I do have some tips. But yeah, grab somebody to help you. You can trim their hair next. But another thing to think about is the texture of your hair. If you have curly hair or really coarse hair, you don't want to be, so if it's super curly, you don't want to be adding a lot of tension, like pulling the hair down or combing it. You kind of would just want to section it off and leave it with no tension and just cut it as it is. And then take the next section down, same thing. We're going to start very, very, very small. Cut way less than you think you need to. I'm going to advise you to do it on dry hair. Because hair, when it's wet, in some cases it's much better. But I think if you are not an experienced hairstylist and you don't know the ins and outs of everything, you can end up with much shorter hair than you planned on if you cut it short. So, if you cut it wet. So I'm just going to say we'll do some dry haircuts. So start small, be very cautious. I would focus on adding texture versus chopping off your hair in a horizontal blunt line. So for instance, if you're cutting your hair and you have a section, obviously this is not what, I'm not doing a whole tutorial, but instead of chopping it this way, like just horizontal, I was trying to explain this to someone the other day. It's kind of hard to explain, but cut it on almost vertical angle, because that is going to give you texture. It'll take off some length, but very slowly, so you don't just all of a sudden hack off an inch that you didn't mean to, because that's never fun. So anyway, if you are just doing a dusting on your own hair, you don't have anyone to help you, I would advise you to split your hair down the middle, look at it with another mirror in the like behind you, and then turn your head to the side so that you get all of the hair and you can cut more of a straight line. And then don't try and lift it up or anything like that. Cut it at its natural fall, because if you lift it, it's going to give you all kinds of different what we call graduation. So what I would advise you to do is to turn your head and cut it down here. I would advise you to turn your head and start kind of picking away at the line. You can, once you have it in your fingers, then you can pick it up so you can see a little bit better. But if you cannot do that, I would do that over picking it up. Let's see, so that's for length. And then if you are cutting someone's hair and you're doing just the dusting, because that's what I would recommend most until they can see their hairstylist. If you are cutting someone else's hair, you have the spine of the comb, and you're going to be taking pretty small sections. You don't do it all in one section. Don't do it in two. Don't do it in three. Take small sections so that if you make a mistake, you have time to fix it. Because there's nothing worse than taking two big chunks and, oh my god, I've messed it up, and that's it. Now you have to go shorter. So take small sections. I like to say bite-sized pieces. You don't want to get overwhelmed. So you want the spine of the comb to be parallel with the floor. And you can kind of check and then hold it in the comb, hold the hair in the comb with it being horizontal, and that will give you a reference point, because it is much harder than you realize to cut a perfectly straight line. So use the comb as a reference point is what I'm trying to say. The face frame. So if you're doing a face frame on your hair, you're gonna want to part it where you part it, or if you switch it back and forth, you will part it in the middle, and then you're gonna go, you don't want to take too much of a section, so something like this, that might even be too much, but you want to go down to kind of the top of your ear, and if it doesn't connect at first, that is okay. Don't take a bigger section to get everything. So you're gonna go to the top of your ear, and then when you do this is the same for bangs, but when you do this, I would advise you to hold it out a little bit, and don't put a lot of tension on it. And I think we've all seen those videos where the girl tries to cut her bangs and she twists it and she pulls it down really hard and then she trims it and it's super short. So let's avoid that. So putting the least amount of tension that you can on the hair is going to avoid it springing up and being a surprise, because we don't want any surprises here. So, elevating it a little might be good, to give it a little bit of lightness, but if that's too scary and feels too complicated, just hold it down and only try and don't do too steep of an angle. Take it one hair at a time. But you want to angle your scissors from the starting point, which usually the starting point for a face frame is below the chin. So this is really my bang area. And you're just going to want to kind of pick away at it in a line that will fall this way. Does that make sense? So you don't want it to go too far back, so that's why we stopped at the corner of your hair, which is the top of your ear, and this is the front section. So you're only going to run into this corner piece, which is also the same length as the back of your head. So you're really just kind of focusing on these areas here. And this is where you want to angle your scissors and cut it in a line so that it is a little bit of a diagonal. That also might be pretty advanced. So if you are going to be doing a face frame, I have a couple of good videos I can recommend that you watch, because even as a hairstylist right now, I need to trim these pieces. I need to get a haircut, but I'm going to wait because I know I could do it, but it's a lot harder to do on yourself than it is on someone else. And it's also a lot harder if you really don't know what you're doing. So me being someone who does know what I'm doing, who can do it on myself, I'm still gonna wait. Because I have other things I can do to distract myself, hobbies I can do. My hair is not my number one priority right now. But if you want to do the face frame, I know of a couple of great videos of hairstylists that I really admire that made videos about that you could go watch, or you can FaceTime me or let me know that, okay, I'm gonna do it and I watched your video and I have some questions. Please ask me your questions before you do it and I'll answer them. I'll send you a video. I'm here for you, but don't go at this alone, especially if you're feeling nervous. And if you're feeling really nervous, don't do it. Okay, so we've covered kind of the long hair, the ends, the face frame. Short hair is next. We've done a little bit about curly hair. We're gonna get to short hair and bangs now. So Short hair, there's a few things. Some of you might have like your head just shaved. Like you might have a super, super short length, same length all over. By all means, if you cut your hair already at home and you have super short hair, go for it. Like, you know, that is something that you're used to doing. No problem, do it. If you're someone who has short hair and usually you have a fade, it's growing out, it's driving you crazy. The areas that you're going to want to focus on first are kind of like the side. People with short hair, the first area that you're going to kind of want to focus on, and this is what I would do first before I would go in and do a whole haircut. So if you can get by with doing what we call a shape up or something like that, I would definitely recommend doing that first. So that's when you're going to, I don't have short hair, so it's harder for me to show you, but kind of focus on the sideburn area and the nape. When you're doing the sideburns around the ears, that kind of thing, it is a lot easier if you have someone else do it for you, first of all. But you really want to go kind of around the ear first. And then you want to comb the hair that's in the sideburn area back. And whatever hangs over where you've just cut around the ear, you also want to trim. And then you take that whole section, and this is just a sideburn, and kind of like front hairline here. You comb all of it forward, and whatever is hanging over the hairline, you trim around. And kind of the same with the nape. If you have trimmers, it's great. That was something I forgot to mention in the tools. Trimmers, like the little guys, or even regular size clippers are fine without the guard. And you're just gonna kind of want to follow the hairline, and really just take off everyone's hairline is so different. Like mine goes down farther here. So if I had short hair, that would be where I would need to focus on. And it's just kind of like shaving your neck outside of the actual hairline of where you want it to be. This is an area that you can get too crazy with. Don't go up too far. A good measure for where your hairline should be is, well, I mean, not exactly, but everyone's is different. So, but you definitely don't want to go farther up than, like the bottom of your ears, your jaw bone. That's kind of where hairlines start-ish. But try and keep it a little bit below that. But if you make a mistake and you're like, oh God, now what? Just don't go farther up than your earlobe or your jaw. There is a bone back there that's called the occipital bone. And you can kind of feel it it's like a little pointy. It should definitely be below that. So if you're up at the occipital bone, you've gone too far. Stop and wait a few weeks, because no one will see, especially just the back of your head. But yeah, so just kind of making sure that you don't go crazy, just only taking what you need. Also, there's a really great person from Fox and Jane that owns the salon in Toronto. Their name is Kristin Rankin, and they made a really great video about if you have short hair, how you can cut your hair at home. And it's a whole video on just them walking you through themselves cutting their own hair. So that will explain a lot more than I can do, because I don't have short hair and I can't show you one myself. But okay, so bangs. my first suggestion with bangs is to just style them a different way. You can braid them, you can twist them. Options are endless. Plenty of styles that you can do. But if you're going to trim your bangs, you definitely want to section off only where the bangs are. So see how this is already going into my other hair. So you want to section off your hair so that it's just the bang area and be very, very precise. Like, you can spend quite amount of time just getting this section right. That's the biggest thing that I see when people come in and they've trimmed their own bangs, is they have a whole section from all the way back here that doesn't belong in their bangs. So really make sure you section your hair well, and also do not cut your bangs when they're wet. Dry them, cut them, wet them again, style them, see how they are, and then cut more. But only cut them when they're dry. And that is going to be another example of the point cutting that I was talking about earlier. You don't want to just horizontal, straight line, blunt your bangs, even if you want super blunt bangs. Also, if you don't already have bangs, wait until your hairstylist can properly section your hair to give you bangs, can give you bangs that are a good fit for your face. Don't, I always say bangs are never about bangs. We are in the middle of a pandemic, so I totally get it if you're like, I need bangs. It is okay. We will get through this. I will give you bangs when this is all over. Yeah, sure. Do not give yourself bangs out of nowhere right now. But if you already have bangs and you're trimming them, you're going to want to go in with the point cutting that I was talking about earlier, like this, cutting it vertically. And then same kind of thing, you can hold the comb, kind of on your forehead where you want to cut the bangs, and then even cut a little longer than you want them, because they are going to spring up, have more movement, and they might be shorter than you think. So taking it and section your bangs too, just like you would, like I was saying, with the bite-sized pieces, very small sections when you're cutting the length of your hair. Same thing goes for bangs. You can take 4 sections, whatever, like little by little, so that you don't end up with, oh no, I made one snip and it messed everything up. So cutting them, holding the comb there vertically. And also another thing to think about is you might get so focused on cutting the actual bangs that you accidentally cut your eyebrow hair. So keep an eye out for that, because I've seen people totally just snip off their eyebrow and they're like, okay, now what? So the whole point of this video is we're avoiding the now what moments. But also, if you have already cut your hair and made a mistake, a good thing to remember is that we'll probably be in this for a little bit longer, almost certainly. So no one is going to see you and see your mistake until you go back to your hairstylist and you can style it differently until then. There is so much I could say on this topic. I've made like 3 clips that are like 20 minutes long already. I really miss talking about hair and miss being in the salon with you guys and like inspiring, like talking to each other, inspiring each other, and just doing hair. I really miss it. So I would love nothing more than to cut all of your hair right now. But just know that we're all in this together, and that, haircuts can wait. Haircuts, they make a huge difference in how you feel about yourself. Like, 1,000%. But right now, don't make any drastic moves and do anything crazy, because we're here for you. I'm here for you. Fox and Jane is here for you. All of my hairstylists, friends, colleagues, people I love, can't wait to get back to the salon, and we can't wait to get back to you. Of course, we'll still love you if you mess up your hair and we have to fix it, but for the sake of your sanity, I would just be very cautious, and, you know, I would just wait for us. But if you do, like I said, if you do mess it up, I'll still love you, and I will fix it for you. But yeah, we're all in this together. We're here for each other, and I hope this helped. I know it was a lot of information, so if you have, seriously, no question is a stupid question. If you have any questions, please ask me, or need any references, or you're about to trim your bangs and you're freaking out, I will give you my phone number and we can FaceTime and I will walk you through it. I'm here for you. So, like I said, I know there was a lot in this video. I hope it helped. I'm going to make a couple follow-up videos just to go a little bit more in depth about things that I maybe didn't get to. But yeah, let me know what you'd want to see too. If you'd rather see a video on how can I trim my bangs like I want to watch you do it, or what are those ways of styling that you were talking about? What can I do? Let me know what you want. Or just, okay, well, I want to curl my hair because I want to feel pretty. How do I do it? I've never done it before. Let me know what you want to see. So, I'm going to be making more videos, and I'm really excited about it. So, come back for more soon. Be well, love you all, and we'll get through this, don't worry.